All right, well, looks like it is just about 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So let's get started. Well, welcome everyone. This is DES209, Graphic Design 2, and we are in our second session of our third week of our, oh man, I think it's the 9th month of 2019. Who knows? I'm pretty sure that's what it is though. But yeah, so welcome to our students who are here, as well as those who are joining us online, joining us via video. I'm glad to have you be here, or have you watching, I guess, and being here as well. So yeah, all right, well, let's jump in and get started. Today's session's only about an hour, so we want to make sure we have time for everything and then some. Yeah, let's get into it. All right, so here's our agenda for the day. We are going to do just a quick little review on magazine ads, because as we said in yesterday's session, magazine ads are fun and interesting and not complicated, but they seem like they could be. Probably complicated because they're just a lot easier, I think, than we initially think they are. So a little review of that. And then we're going to move directly into social media advertising, which is going to basically be a pretty good and robust demo for assessment 3, which here's another spoiler alert. It's easier than you think as well. So I feel like, excuse me, perhaps the whole theme of this class is, hey, guess what? It's actually easier than you think. And that's a really good thing in so many ways. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is stop sharing for 1 second. And I'm going to actually, let me just share my whole desktop, because why not? Let's see how that goes. Oops. Get out of that and get into my InDesign. So as kind of just a bit of review, this is the magazine ad that I put together in yesterday's session. So if you haven't watched the first session of week 2 or of week 3, be sure that you are, because that's where I do a whole demo about how to do assignment 3. And also we talk about things to keep in mind when you're designing a magazine ad. So just for those of you who are here or who are watching, kind of quick pop quiz review time. So in yesterday's session, we said that the image should take probably what percentage of the ad, and ask yourself, do you remember, is it like 20%? Is it 30%? Is it 50%? Is it 65%? How much, ideally, in theory, and according to the Ogilvy advertising mavericks, how much should the image take up? So again, a couple seconds, just ask yourself that question and see if you have any guesses. Okay, so as I'm sharing my screen, that may have gotten into the video recording what the answer was from the student representative here. But yes, 65% is the key. So ideally, you know, our eyes always go to images first. It's just kind of how we're hardwired as humans, unless you have some sort of kind of image compromising images. But if you're generally a fully sighted human, you look at images first, and they are the most engaging. So therefore, 65% of your ad you should try to be an image, so that you can really draw your audience in. Okay, so one other thing to consider. So you got your big image. Where does the eye naturally land when you look through a full magazine ad or a full poster, or really kind of a full piece of any sort of readable design? There's kind of one quadrant where the eye naturally ends up, and this is also a very good quadrant to put your logo in, because it kind of is the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, shall we say? No, it's kind of that like extra, leave the audience with, okay, here's, here again is the company that's, bringing you this ad. So is that spot where your eye lands upper left, upper right, lower left, or lower right? So where does your eye naturally kind of stop when it's looking at something, and therefore it's a good spot for you to put your logo. So again, if you're watching via video, you can answer these questions. You are thinking, you have that ability. So what would you say? Okay. Looks like somebody said lower right corner, and yes, you would be correct. So lower right corner is kind of where your eye lands. So look at this, guys. If you want to put together a magazine ad and you want it to take, minimal amount of time, but also have kind of the maximum impact, just think image at basically 65% of the ad space overall. And then put the logo in the lower right corner of, oops, I apologize, Ruby's answering the question for us too. Put your logo in the lower right corner of the ad, because it provides that good kind of stopping point for the ad. And then take the other pieces of information and kind of create them, put them on your artboard, and then bring them together into the space of the ad to see just what you might come up with. So there's one other design principle that we talked about a bit, just to kind of make sure that we were really doing our best to kind of lead the audience's eye through our ad. So do you guys remember, what is that design principle to keep in mind? That's really all about leading the eye through something. So, and it's not one of the advanced principles, just one of the basics. Do you guys remember what that is? Yes, looks like somebody said alignment. Yep, alignment is like to line up. And so you can see here in this piece, I've lined up everything along this side. I've lined up everything over here. You can see I've kind of lined up it over here too. And then this is kind of, if you kind of go down this way where the compositional elements are, it's all kind of in this quadrant, or I guess it's in this kind of house-shaped lopsided rectangle that the eye is kind of staying in and staying together. So again, when you make your ad, it can be super, it can be complicated if you want it to be, but ideally just think 65%, make a big image, then line up your content, put your logo in the corner, and voila. You should have something that should be fairly successful. So hopefully not too tricky overall. And then you can always feel, once you've created that basic shape, the basic layout of the ad, you can then kind of innovate and, get creative if you want to. But, this is creative enough. I think it's working. And it is overall really communicating easily with what's going on. So. All right, that was the magazine review. One thing too to note is for the magazine ad for assignment 3, you will need to generate content. So where you will find kind of what that content needs to be is in the week 1 company overview documents. And I apologize if it's a little bit like a scavenger hunt through the course for this, but it is, you guys can do it. You all know how to navigate and click, so you've got this. And if you have questions, or if you feel like you're not quite sure if you have it, just let me know, and I'd be happy to kind of go through it with you. All right, so let's go back here to our slides and take a look at social media marketing. And I'm just going to stop sharing for 1 second and share again this way. Okay, so why do you guys think that social media is a good idea for a business? So what is the benefits do you think that a business might get from social media? Why should a business use social media? Or should or should a business use social media? All right, let's see. Gets the message out to a wider audience, gives a wide range of audiences. Yeah, kind of gets the message out. Yeah. So I think personally that brands definitely should use social media. And here are a couple of kind of reasons that I feel like it's really good to kind of be in that environment. So first one, like you guys noted, it really extends the brand presence. So the brand just doesn't live in a grocery store or on a television screen or in somewhere far away. It kind of, lives in your social media stream in a lot of ways. So because it lives in your social media stream, it kind of becomes a lot more human. So oftentimes with social media marketing and with social media kind of uh, advertising design, the brands try to sound very friendly. So it kind of mimics, the very friendly humans that you most likely encounter as you're scrolling social media. It also creates frequent brand touch points with consumers throughout the day. I won't ask us to disclose how many hours we might spend on social media, but if we're on it, and if they're on it too, it's a good, again, kind of connection point for us. And it's also a really easy way to gauge audience response and gather ideas. So one of the really cool things about social media marketing is that it is so interactive. So if there's, a short video that a company puts out, or if there's an image, or if there's a quote or something, they can very easily track how many people have shared that, how many people have viewed that, if people have commented on it within the stream. So it's a very dynamic way of advertising. And I think because it has that kind of fluidity, it really is quite interesting because you're always getting feedback from your audience. And if it's good feedback, that's excellent. And if it's bad feedback, you can quickly take something down and replace it. And it has that kind of wet cement feel to it. It's not like something that's been baked, printed, and then go from there. We never see anybody who interacts with it. So I like this living idea. Okay, so how do you do it? This is the magic question that you're probably asking, especially in regards to assessment 3. So there's kind of multiple ways. We're just going to buzz through kind of 3 main ones, and just a heads up, it's just going to be words, but then we're going to actually jump onto the internet and look at some examples and then kind of break down how to do this. So the idea, though, is that when you're creating a piece of social media marketing or digital marketing even, it really is just like creating a magazine ad. So, the people that are looking at it have not changed. They are still human, most likely. And so the principles that you put into your magazine ad are most likely going to still stay present in this social media ad, but you're probably going to have to be a little bit creative as to how you put them together. So, you're still going to have that overall visual first mindset, but, it's going to be some slightly different reshuffling just to kind of make sure that, you're fitting to whatever the format is that you have to be part of. Okay, so a couple things. Be vigilant about sizing. So you want to make sure that everything is readable that needs to be readable, that the images are clear and such. Design it simple is probably the most important. So imagine what your social media feed looks like. It's probably a little bit complicated and chaotic. So if you want something to stand out, simplicity is really good because it can kind of give the viewer just a resting place in the midst of all the other information they've been trying to take in their social media feed. So design it simple, be unexpected yet recognizable. Ooh, need to spell check that word. But yeah, simple or unexpected yet recognizable. So kind of, you know, show them something unexpected, show them something delightful, make them want to look. Then use high impact imagery and your text that you're writing or that you're using. Make sure it really has, you know, kind of some pop to it. It's not just like, you know, come visit us. It's like, hey, we have this great thing happening. You want to be there. You know, make it sound kind of exciting in what you're promoting. Okay, so kind of three main ways to do this. All image, so you could have, you know, one giant image of something and then just a little text kind of around the image. And as far as a little text around the image, I'm going to show you examples, so it's going to make more sense. So just know all image is a way to go. Multi-image, so creating a kind of collage of images, something else you can do. I don't recommend it as much because I think it gets busy, but I have seen it done well, so there is that option. And then text and image, which is basically like a text overlay on an image itself. So again, something to consider. Personally, I think all image is the way to go, but that's just me. So, you know, something to think about. All right, so let's jump right into it and get to assessment 3. And we're just gonna share this way and get out of here and get into our classroom. Okay, so here is assessment 3. And basically what you're going to be doing is creating some social media ads. So we're not going to read that part, but you should. And then here we are going down to the prompt. So utilizing only the images in approved images folder found in the week 3 document, create 3 cohesive social media banners, otherwise known as ads, for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn using Photoshop for your design campaign. Remember, all 3 advertisements must be cohesive. So the ad should contain the following criteria: a cohesive message and design fitting with the rest of your campaign pieces. So AKA, use the same colors, use the same font. If you even want to use the same image from assignment 3, you can do that too. So don't reinvent the wheel here. Design within the system you've already created. All right, so the ad should also contain your new logo and slogan. Remember to size down your design for web use. At least 1 image. And then utilize 1 specific design principle / composition theory. Put in your submission comments which principle you used and where. So create a Facebook ad, a Twitter ad, and a LinkedIn ad for your client's company. Use the links below to find out the required size specifications or download mockups to use for the ad. Okay, so if you click on any of these links, it's going to take you to a web page that is like, hey, this is the size of ads that you need for each of these platforms. And this is kind of how to lay them out. So look at this, guys. Hey, text, image, text, and that's the ad. So it's like, it's incredibly easy. And I think in a lot of ways, we have this feeling that, oh, these ads are going to be so cool and like innovative and whatever. Oftentimes for social media platforms, they are just a picture and text. So not to ruin everything, but it is, you know, it's much more of a formula than it is anything you have to, you know, stress about kind of getting that magical creative vision. Okay, so you have these links, so you can feel free to create your stuff from scratch. However, what I would recommend is not doing any of that. I would recommend designing directly into mockup. And so basically what that means is, or I guess designing directly for the mockups if you want to do that. So basically download 3 easy to use mockups here. So this is legitimately good though. You can, create the info here or use the info here to create your ads. So that's fine. So you're going to get the mockup folder, and you'll see in here there are going to be 3 Photoshop files. One is for a Facebook ad mockup. One is for a LinkedIn ad mockup, and one is for a Twitter ad mockup. Okay, so you'll notice these all have some colorful squares that are empty. So basically the idea is that if you do design using these mockups, you're going to, ignore that, you're going to put your image, whatever you want, if it's just a plain image or if it's an image with text or what have you, into wherever these blank squares are. And then you're just going to update the other stuff. So like where it says friend name, you would imagine, this is coming from your company. So, for me, it's Scooper's Ice Cream. So this would say Scooper's Ice Cream. And I would not have, I want this mockup so bad. I would have something like, come see us in our 50th celebration. I forgot what I wrote in my ad, but something along those lines. So it would kind of, match whatever I'm showing in the image. Or I'd write that in the image and then kind of put that in. So same deal here. This is LinkedIn. So you're going to change up this, change up that, and drop things where it's green. And same thing with Twitter. Change up here, drop where it's green. So does that make sense for you guys who are here? And if you're watching via video, if it doesn't make sense, reach out to me. So, okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, so let's do this way. So I'm going to start with, let's start with Facebook. So I'm just going to double click on this to open it. So what I would recommend is that you actually do your assignment first. So you make your magazine ad so that you have, this thing that you've already done. Mostly because it's best, I feel like, if you turn this into a multimedia campaign, which you've learned about if you've been watching the pre-recorded videos. But the idea is that translating the same idea across various media platforms ends up producing a much more cohesive thing overall, because the company message is getting, kind of shared through all these different channels that the consumer or the target audience would kind of naturally bump into throughout their day. So I would recommend you start with this, and then you move into the digital portions. All right, so here is my, and the other reason is if you start with that, you can kind of copy paste too, which gets a lot easier. Okay, so here is my mock-up. So here, a couple of things in our layers themselves. You can kind of look through and read. So I always feel like it's good when I'm opening a Photoshop file that I did not create to just click on these little eyeballs and see what goes with what. So you can see here, here's the header, friend name. So that's the date. There's a dot. I don't know what that is, but that's okay. Oh, that's a little dot. So just to kind of orient yourself where you're going. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just double clicking, and I'm going to do Scooper's Ice Cream. And where it says, I want this mock-up so bad, I'm going to come back here and say, what did I come celebrate 50 years of awesome scoops? And if you want some good examples of, or just even just some more examples, Scoops with Us on July 25th, of Facebook ads, you probably only need to go as far as your own Facebook feed. And if you're not on Facebook, you can easily just do a Google search for Facebook ads, and things should come up in a good way. Okay, so we did that, we did this. So what do you think we should put, whoops, what do you think we should put for the friend photo? Does anybody have any ideas? And I'm just gonna double click on it while we do that. So again, it's just like in our mockups, we double click on the little checkerboard and it's gonna pull up this little image and then we can drop our thing in. So does anybody have any guesses as to what we should put for this? Let's see, logo. Yeah, I feel like a logo would be appropriate. Or if, you know, you did something cool with your logo, like I know there's somebody who made little ice cream bar people out of their Scoopers logo. So cute. That would be great if you just had one of those people, or like some people are doing cool things with the cone. Everlure, somebody had a cool fishing thing they did. So I'd say a logo or a piece of your logo, mostly because for some of the logos, they're kind of big. So I'm just gonna do, oops, I'm gonna grab my logo from InDesign, copy, and I'm not gonna do my tagline because it's already gonna be kind of big. So, okay, and just paste it and hit that and maybe make it just slightly smaller. And if you're like, it's so pixelated, what's happening? It's also at 700%, so it should be okay if I zoom back out. All right, so we're gonna do File, Save, and then we're gonna come back here and we're gonna see how it looks. It looks so cute, but it looks microscopic, but that's okay. Yep, that works for me. All right, so we have this, and now we have our image as to what we're going to put in. So now is where you kind of have like a choose your own adventure moment, because what sort of image do you want to put here? So you could do just a picture. So I could get, you know, this picture and just copy it and paste it right in. And, you know, we could kind of leave it at that. So I'll put that in, and then we're going to do File, Save. So that would work. It's cohesive. If we want to kind of fancy it up a little bit, we can put some text over the image, which I actually feel like would be a good thing because it feels kind of plain to me right now. So I'm going to take my type tool, and you can see here I'm working directly in the mockup. Celebrate 50 years of awesome. Okay, and I'm going to do same font that I've been using, that lemon yellow sun. Make it bigger. Come to my character panel, so make it a little bit bigger. And then maybe I want to have like July 25th. And maybe I want to put that, I kind of like it up here actually. It feels like there's a good space for it, but maybe I want to, you know, put a circle behind it so it feels like a scoop, feels like it's standing out. I don't know if this is a good idea, but we'll just go with it. So anyway, you can see that, you know, when you design, if you want to design in mockup, you really do just get to kind of play around. Whoops, you get to play around a little bit with what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and all of that good stuff. So July 25th. And the cool thing is that, let me just put a little rectangle behind this, celebrate 50 years of awesome. And let's make it, color kind of matches the gelato. Put it underneath there. So the cool thing with designing basically in mockup is that you can just go to File, Save at any point. And if you want to see how it looks, you can instantly kind of see it back and forth. And actually that doesn't look bad. I don't know about my July 25th, but well, actually here, I know what we could do. If we put it into 2 lines and made the 25 way, way bigger. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing, once again, not rocket science to do this kind of stuff, but it does take a little bit of thought and a little bit of, kind of playing around with what you're doing. But like I said, if you're designing in mockup, which I would highly, highly recommend, the cool thing is that you can kind of always get a good read on how it looks just by coming to File, Save, and checking it out. Ah, looks great. All right, so when we're all done with our first one, I'm just going to save it. So File, Save As, and let me find my folder. Oh, I guess we can do this one. Okay, I'll just name it Hammersheim. We have that there. Okay, so again, super, super easy, hopefully. So you just kind of drop in the things in the things in the spaces, and then you have like this thing that looks like a very convincing Facebook ad. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. LinkedIn. Actually, let's go to a tweet. Let's double click there. Okay, this one's going to tell you it uses Roboto Light. If you would like to click Resolve Fonts, it will find those in Typekit. Or if you just hit cancel, it will sub in fonts, so it's fine. Okay, so once again, we have this. So you can see here what we're going to do. We have something here. This is where it's a little tricky because it says clip image here. So this is not a mock-up like our Facebook one was. This is instead something where you're going to you're going to paste your image in essentially, and then clip it to make a clipping mask with this shape. So it sounds tricky, but it's not it's not too tricky, I promise. So basically we're going to just do again kind of what we did with our Facebook one. So we're going to find what this is. Okay, clip your logo here. So this is where your logo is going to go. So what we're going to do again is grab our logo and copy. And we're going to click on, there it is, clip your logo here, and paste. Okay, and we're going to put it here. And actually, we probably don't even need to clip it because it looks like it's just about the right size. So if you need to resize your logo, you can, and that's fine. Or if you just want to leave it here, that's good too. So I'm just going to double click on this and change the color of the box. And you can change it to whatever you want to, just something that you feel like would have enough, have enough contrast. Clearly that doesn't. What about if we did something like a yellow? Would that work? That's kind of fun. It's a little hard to look at, but I think we could do it. Let's move that over so it's kind of in the middle. Okay. All right, and then we're going to change the name to Scoopers Ice Cream. And let's see what this guy is. Oops. So we're going to move that over. And I would recommend that you actually just turn off the verified badge. So that's just something that says in Twitter that, you know, this person has, you know, this many followers, they're an influencer. I don't know if Scoopers Ice Cream quite fits that demographic. Okay, so same deal here. We're going to change the name. So at Scoopers Ice, oops, we don't have an apostrophe for Twitter. You don't have punctuation and you have all one word. And you can make up, you know, your username if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here, and I'm actually going to copy that. It's going to be quite similar, so I'm going to double click on my tweet, and I'm going to paste in, oops, I'm going to paste in, let's see, this is 66.6, isn't that a fortuitous number? Okay. And myriad, I like to keep it in Arial. And set that to auto so that that's on July 25th. Okay, and then you can make up a fun hashtag if you want to. Ice cream love. Love. And maybe like happy anniversary or something. Oops. or however you spell it. Okay. And then we get to our picture. And what I would actually recommend for for Twitter is that you kind of do maybe stick more with just a plain image, as opposed to for Facebook where we had the image with some text. And the reason that that is because these are very small images for Twitter. And so a lot of times if you try to do like an image with a text overlay, it just ends up getting really crowded. So I'm going to just take one of my other images from the folder and put it in here. Well, actually, no, I think I'm going to take my image that I've been using and put it in here. So again, just select it, copy, paste, and now we can talk about how to clip it in. Or we're going to try doing file placed will be the next way, but it'd be so nice if it worked this way. Let's see, copy. Let's do Command V. Oh, there it is, good. If at first it doesn't succeed. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if you go this route as well, drag your image so it's directly over the clip image here layer, which is where that little green box is. And then what you want to do is drag it out so it's bigger than the box. And then do your check mark. And then hold down your Option key, and your cursor is going to go from being that little hand to being kind of a bendy arrow with a box. So once you see that, just click, and it's going to clip your image to that shape. And then you can see it's now kind of constraining the shape. The shape is constraining the image. So it's acting almost like a frame for the image. Then you can always, you know, move the image around if you want to. So, and I think that actually that works really well. Oops, I don't need it to be too big. Okay. All right. So when you're here, you're done. So even better. So we're going to come to File, Save As, and we're going to do Hammer Shine, Tweet Mockup. Okay. All right. So final one that we're going to do is LinkedIn. And you may be thinking, isn't LinkedIn all about working? So why are we advertising ice cream on it? Hey, everybody needs some ice cream, or some fishing gear, or an Italian restaurant, apparently. Okay, so once again, we have things that are green. So we're going to do what we did before. We're just going to grab our logo. We're going to come into here. We're going to hit paste. I like that you don't even have to clip your logo. Actually, you could probably just zip it down. Ooh, that's tiny. But that's okay. All right, and then we're gonna double click on this guy, and I like that yellow that we did before, so let's go with that. Bright color. Okay, change every interaction to Scooper's ice cream. And you guessed it, come back to here. We're just going to copy all this and come here to LinkedIn, open up our layers, and paste it. Oops. Okay, let's see. Source sans. So basically a tip, guys, is if you are copying and pasting, the text that you're pasting in is going to keep its it's going to keep its previous formatting. So it might not look like kind of how you want it to look. So what I like to do is just see what the text settings are for the text before I paste it in, paste the new text in, and then I can always, you know, replicate those. So source sans pro and 15 and gray. I'm going to do paste, and then I'm going to do 15. I'm going to do source sans pro. I don't even know what that is. So if you don't have that, Arial is probably a good. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, so now is where you can get a little bit creative. LinkedIn has slightly larger images. So, you know, do you want to go all out and do something like Facebook where you have more stuff? Or do you want to just go the Twitter route and just do an image? It really doesn't matter. And I mean, it honestly doesn't matter. It's whatever you feel like is good for your vision and kind of what's cohesive with your campaign. So I'm going to do just my picture because I actually really like how this looks. I like the simplicity. And the cookies are smiling, so it feels like there's almost messaging in there anyway. So that's a bonus. So I'm again just going to take this, copy it, come back to Photoshop, grab this, click on my image mask, paste it. Ooh, it's a big one. Make it smaller slightly. Oops. And then, does anyone remember what, it looks like I distorted that slightly. Does anyone remember what key do I hold down to make this this image clip to the image below? So if you're here, do you remember what key did I use? Or if you're watching via video, what key did I use? Do you remember? Yep, Option, it is. Okay, so you hover over your vector, hold down your Option key, click once, it clips into the mask, and then you can move it around and hit your check mark and turn off the show transform controls and evaluate. Looks good to me. Okay, so we're going to save that one up. So again, I can't speak highly enough about the magic that is designing in mockup, mostly because I don't know about you guys, but having these each, you know, actually be a thing just really helps me think about the design itself. So, you know, when you design just, let's see if we can see all these together. When you design just a flat file, it's missing one. Let's see, show all windows. Oops. Well, I guess we'll just keep it at that for a second. When you design as a flat, you miss the context that it's going to be in. Whereas when you design in mockup, you can see like, okay, it's going to have, you know, some text on it. It's going to have this kind of layout. I'm going to have to think about things like the like and like the comment and, you know, what the flow is going to be, that it's going to be constrained to this, you know, fairly tiny little box. So by doing this, you really get to see what kind of what each part is going to be and how you can build consistency and cohesiveness, but also be unique to whatever the platform is and whatever overall orientation the image needs to have, kind of the placement of the text, that sort of thing. And as I'm looking at these three, I see that this one doesn't have a yellow background, so I'm going to click on it and see if I can get that background to be yellow, just so we can have it be fully connected together. So let's see, what is that circle? So I'm going to hold down my control key and click once to see where that is. Friend photo. Oh, double click to edit. Oh yeah, that's this one. Okay, so I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to do color overlay, and I'm going to make it yellow. Ooh, ooh, that's a bright one. Okay, and file save. There it is. And again, it's going to put it back in there as yellow. Oh yeah, that's fun, and it matches my other ones in a pretty good way. All right, so we're going to save that up one more time, and then we're going to talk about how we're actually going to turn these in. So let's get this guy. So submit the following file type, JPEG. There should most likely be JPEGs plural because you are going to have 3 of them for each of your pieces that you made. Or if you want to, you could then do, or you could do like what many of you did for week 2, which is put them into an InDesign document and submit it as a PDF. So it really doesn't matter, but you could, submit 3 JPEGs. You could submit 1 PDF. Save your PSD files and keep them, but don't submit your PSD files. So make sure you are saving it as something that's flattened, mostly because PSDs get kind of big. So let's just save each of these as JPEGs, and then go from there. So I'm going to copy that, come back here. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm just going to paste what I copied, and Lisa Hammer Shine, and then I'm just going to do my down arrow and do Format JPEG, and click. Let's put these in the right folder, DES209, and click Save, and OK. And then you can close that, save it one more time. Same deal here, File, Save As, put that in the right file, paste it. Excuse me. This is going to be Lisa Hammersheim. We can just do 2. And we're going to save it as a JPEG and save, and OK. Oops. So save that. And our final one, you guessed it, save as, and DES209. And Hammersheim _3. JPEG save, and OK. And very, very important, make sure you are saving your PSD as well, just in case you need to go back and make any edits or you want to change it or shift it or whatever, to kind of see what's going on. All right, so final thing we're going to do, you guys don't have to do this, but I would recommend that you do it, because I think it would be helpful for you to see your overall campaign. So I'm going to come into InDesign, and I'm actually going to add one more page to my document. And basically what I want to do is just see my complete multimedia campaign together. So my magazine ad up here, and then I just want to put in my 3 social medias down here, so that I can, see the whole thing, to make sure it really is as cohesive as I'm imagining it should be. So hopefully it is. Okay, so we're going to do File and Place. And I'm going to find I'm going to find my images. There they are. Here's one. So I'm going to do that and just click once. And hey, why don't I put 1 per page? So File, Place. And again, the reason that I think it's helpful to do this is just for yourself, so you can see if you've really got something happening here, if it feels cohesive. And if you do, you know, you can congratulate yourself and feel proud because it's fun to see. And if you don't, you know, use this as a time to say, ooh, yeah, that's actually not working as well as I thought. So let me, you know, go back and fix it. Okay, so here we have our magazine ad, looks pretty good. Here's our Facebook ad, looks like a pretty good replica. And I didn't even, maybe I subconsciously remembered that green or that kind of bluish color, but looks good there, looks good here, looks good here, and coming here as well. So again, very good. All right, when you are all finished with the assessment and with the assignment, you can feel free to turn those in and yeah, pat yourself on the back and hopefully say, yay, I have a really good start to a cohesive multimedia campaign that includes both print pieces as well as digital pieces for a lot of good impact. Yeah. All right, well, for our students who are here, do you guys have any questions about anything? And if you're watching via video, please let me know too if you have any, you know, specific questions about anything. We're feeling good overall, feeling excited to get to some ad development. It really is, yeah, I would say, you know, do that magazine ad first, because the thinking, the thinking that you will think as you're doing that magazine ad, kind of the creative processing and such, will help you when you get to these social medias, because you'll already be very grounded in what you want to do and kind of how you want to say and show your message. So, you know, from there it should be a pretty easy flip to go into social media as well. So, and the one thing too is if you're a little iffy about writing the text, just go back to week 1. And this is where you can see here, client to work with from this list. This is where you will have the info about what you're promoting. And so that should help you too with how you're writing your copy and such. So, yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll end things a little bit early. Thanks, guys, for another great third. Oops, looks like we had a couple comments. Not offhand, I feel better now. I realize it's not complicated. Can you show me how you're saving the ID file of the 4 pages? I am having trouble with week 1. Oh yeah, good question. Okay, so here is, here's my InDesign file of 4 pages. So basically you want to save it as a .indd since that's the native file. So I'm just going to come here to File, Save. So we have that already. And then for turning in purposes, which is for week 1 in particular, you need to have it as a PDF. So how you do that is you go to File, and then you go to Export. And then the format, you want to make sure it says Adobe PDF. And then once you have that, you hit Save, and we'll just do that Replace. And then just hit Export, the defaults are fine. And then it's going to do its thing. And then you should have the PDF that you can then turn in. So does that make sense? It's File Export, which is a little tricky because, you know, it's a different way to save it than in other versions. Oops. That's how I did it. Okay, yeah. Did it work for you? Or were you having an issue? Huh, what was it not doing? One file at a time. Oh, okay, I think I might know the issue. So when you do export and you do save, let's do replace, you want to make sure that for pages it says all, and you want it to export as pages. So if it might have, for whatever reason, might have been set to just like only do 1, or something weird might have been happening there. So if you make sure it's all and pages, and then you make sure that that format is PDF, it should work for you. And if it doesn't, you know, you can always send me an email and I can just take a look at your file to make sure everything's right. It is sometimes with any of these programs, like in theory it should always work, and then for whatever reason it doesn't, and your computer needs a restart or whatever. So you know, that could be the case too. So, yeah, you know, yeah. Oh yeah, you can even email me your file so I can see it. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys. As usual, lines of communication are always open, so please reach out. Remember too that we are in week 3, so we have this week and next week. So if you have gotten slightly behind, no worries, but just make sure you are thinking about turning in some late work, since late work is always a good idea. Yeah, all right, with that, take care everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next week.